All right, Iowa, we have two main weather events to discuss, one for the northern part of the state and the other for western Iowa. And later on the video, we'll take our first look at what we might expect for the weather on Christmas Day. But on your screen right now, we have the current hazards from the National Weather Service. And fortunately, all the winter weather seems to be, for the most part, going to miss the state. At least the major impacts are going to be for Minnesota and Wisconsin. We do, though, however, currently in place here this Wednesday evening, just after 5 p.m., have a wind advisory for the far western tier of counties and a high wind warning further back into Nebraska and South Dakota. Take a look at a couple things I want to point out to you. Obviously, we see here in Iowa this low pressure sweeping down out of the northwest, and that's going to bring a shot of snow for northern, especially northeast Iowa. But also notice on the backside here, all these isobars are packed really tight together. And when you get that, you get some very strong winds. So we'll have some pretty strong northerly, northwesterly winds behind that low. Here's a zoomed in look at this. This is presented by the European model. And you can see that smattering, that quick shot of snow here in the northeast part of the state, and the resulting forecasted modeled totals. The heaviest being basically in the Waukon, Lansing, Harpers Ferry area, right in there. Dubuque, you might get 1.5 inches. Decorah, 2 inches. Really, the heaviest stuff's going to be further north and northeast into Minnesota and Wisconsin. But this is still enough precipitation to cause a headache. And just for good due diligence, we're going to take a look at the GFS model. Do notice the runtime is the same. And, well, depending on where you are, you might get a little more, you might get a little less. That's kind of the thing with these models. It's not going to give you 100% certainty, but it gives you enough to be prepared for the weather. And just to kind of reiterate why we aren't going to get anything further south is the temperatures well above freezing for most of the state, except for those areas affected by this storm, likely going to be experiencing cloudiness and precipitation from that system that moves through really quickly out of the northwest. And here's a look at your forecasted wind gust through 4 p.m. Thursday, and you can see really the western half of Iowa getting upwards of 30 to over 40 mile per hour gusts. And I expect that to eventually sweep further to the east and southeast, but perhaps diminish. We'll see as we get closer with more guidance. And unfortunately, Friday, we are right back into the cold. Highs generally across the entire state below freezing. A bit of a shock from the day before tomorrow, Thursday, if I could have said that any more confusingly. Anyway. All right, let's take a look at what we might expect on December 25th, otherwise known as Christmas. This is the temperature anomaly just above the surface forecasted by the European model. And you can see at noon, we're expected to be generally 10 degrees above normal for your Christmas Day. And the GFS agrees, perhaps hotter in some areas. We're going to be not quite toasty, but it'll be a warm Christmas, and it's looking like a brown Christmas. So I do want to point out, just for interest, look up here in Canada. Their temperature is forecasted to be 35 degrees above normal. So you may have to go very far north to get a white Christmas this year here in North America. And just to look at the specific temperatures for your noon on Christmas Day, Des Moines looking at 38 degrees, Decorah, the cold spot, at 32 degrees, Burlington, Omaha, Lamar's just about 40, and probably will break that by the end of the day. So, as always, thanks for watching. I'm Clarence Smith. This is The Weathershed, and we'll see you on the next video.